Hey, good evening, everyone.
Hello.
How's everyone doing this evening? Welcome to VA Claims Veterans Helping Veterans live Q&A. I'm Chris. I'll be kind of behind the scenes. Steph's hitting the chocolate over there, and we got Blake. We'll see. Jackie might come on here in a little bit. Unfortunately, she was working, I believe, and Ashley's got a sick one. So for right now, we'll hold down the fort.
Yeah.
So how's everyone doing tonight? Good?
We're good. We're good. How are you, Blake? Good?
I'm good.
Hope everybody out there is good. Before we get started tonight, the three of us were talking, we kind of want to talk about a little bit about suicide awareness for veterans. Some of you know or may not know, Chris and I lost a brother just a few days ago to suicide. And it sucks, but there is avenues to help guys and gals. So if you are suffering and you need help, it's okay to not be okay. And at the end of the day, we're all there for each other. And a couple weeks ago, I put out this video on the Compact Act of 2020. A lot of people don't know about it. I didn't know about it. I did some research on it. The most recent update to it, and if you watch my video, you'll see, was when the VA put into policies last year for veterans. They can go to any facility, guys. You don't have to go to a VA facility. You can walk into any ER if you're suffering and you need help. You can pick up the phone and call 988. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you can chat through texting. There is help, and at the end of the day, we're all here for everyone and to support. And it just really kind of hit home for Chris and I with our friend, because you just never know. And yeah, so we just want to make sure that the awareness is out there. So please, please share the video. We put the link in the comment section. It's a very short video. It's very informative, and just share it and get it out there. I mean, last year, Blake, myself, Chris, Ashley, and Jackie, we helped a girl, Christine. Remember her, Blake?
Yeah.
So we helped her. She was in a dark place, and today she is thriving and she's doing wonderful. So
On that note, I'll say my father was one of the 22,
yeah,
and having worked the ER for 20 years, saw a lot of attempted suicides. And the one thing I took away from all of that was it is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah, it is. So we just want to take this few minutes in the beginning while everybody was jumping on and getting the questions to just get the awareness out, because there is help. And even in honestly, guys, as much as a lot of people know me, i'm I'm on Facebook 24/7. I have Messenger, we all do. So if you're feeling some kind of way, just reach out to us. Don't, like I said, it's okay to not be okay at the end of the day. So with that, I guess we'll
I dropped the link in the comments for the video.
okay.
So
Yeah, it's
watch it, distribute it, whatever. Don't box it in. Pick up the phone, text somebody, message Steph, message me, message Blake, get on our group on Facebook. There's always
yeah.
another option, and they're becoming more and more available.
Yeah, and then like I said, there's also a point if you need to talk, we're here too. So, but like I said, we just wanted to get that we want to get that message out. It does suck, but we're here for everybody. That's what it's all about, for being brothers and sisters in arms. So, with that being said, I'm gonna shoot the disclaimer real quick, and then as people are coming on, we'll start getting into the questions. Chris,
Yep.
okay,
Let's get that out of the way.
okay. All right, guys. So VA claims Veterans Helping Veterans is not an accredited agent, VSO, attorney, or entity recognized by the Department of Veterans Affairs and is not affiliated with the VA in any way. We do not assist veterans with the preparation, presentation, and prosecution of VA disability claims for VA benefits. This Q&A is solely for guidance purposes and should not be considered as medical or legal advice. All right. So we got that out of the way. So with that being said, we're, like I said, we're down a couple peeps tonight. We're, Blake and myself are going to try and answer the questions the best we can. If we can't answer them, we'll ask you to email us, or if it's getting too lengthy, we'll ask you to email us, and we'll get the whole team involved to further dive into your questions and get you some answers. But
Um,
again,
again, guys, the emails are great, but remember to please redact any personal information. We don't
yes.
need social security numbers and all this other kind of stuff floating around. So we're here to help, but we don't need all that information from you.
Yes, and feel free to start dropping your comments in the comment section. Questions. We're here as long as we have questions. If we don't have questions, then we're done.
All right,
So this is here
get
for
to
you
it.
guys. All right.
All right.
And question. You got a question?
We got a three-parter to start off with.
Oh, that's right. All right. So this is for Marvin Jenkins. Hello. A month ago, I was denied my GERD claim secondary to PFAS. I admit that was a mistake, but favorable finding in the decision letter confirms the GERD diagnosis based on STRs, that's service treatment records, on active duty. I have since been diagnosed with anxiety and OSA, that's, I believe, obstructive sleep apnea, by my private doctor. Claims pending for those as well. I suspect I had those while on active duty in the 90s. My question now, how do I proceed with this GERD claim since I have a year to appeal? Supplemental. So Marvin, yes. So since you've been denied the GERD, if you were going to not provide any new evidence, then you could do an HLR and go based solely on your assumption that the original decision was that there was an error, because that's where errors are found. If you're trying to provide new evidence to support the GERD, then yes, you're going to need to file a supplemental and provide the new evidence. Do you want to add
Wouldn't
something, Blake?
wouldn't the fact that he was diagnosed and it was in his service treatment record, wouldn't that be a cue?
Well, first of all, we haven't seen the decision, right? So I
Right.
don't know
And
anything. He's saying he was
he's
diagnosed.
saying that the favorable findings
Right.
were a diagnosis in it based on service treatment records.
Yeah. I
So
mean, really, without
that would
seeing
be a
it,
few.
I mean, I agree with you if that's the case, but I have a feeling that there's a little bit more to this than meets the eye.
So
Um,
I would do an HLR because he still has a year for that HLR to go through before he can file a supplemental if he needs.
I would want to see the decision before I would recommend HLR or supplemental. I kind of agree. Like, you know what I mean? Because like, if we could see the decision and see what the decision actually states,
Yeah.
right, then we could give a little bit more information. So Marvin, if you want to send us that decision via email and redact your personal information, then we can take a look at it and give you a little bit more information regarding if you should go, like Blake said, the HLR and it was in your service treatment records, or if it wasn't and you need a supplemental with new evidence. So that's our suggestion. And I'm gonna have a piece of chocolate. All right. Jeff Connors, greetings. After reviewing medical records, my wife's VSO wanted to know if foot stress fractures can cause fallen arches. The VSO is asking this?
Yeah. They want to file basically for flat feet,
Right.
and um, the answer is possibly. That's something you need, depending on where those stress fractures were. You need to, and which bones were fractured. You need to talk to your podiatrist, and you also need to realize that yes, you may have flat feet, but you're going to have to show how it affects you today for anything greater than a 0 rating. Correct, Stephanie?
That's correct, because to add on to you, any fracture that's incurred in service is a minimum of 0 if there's no residuals.
Right.
So if there was an actual fracture in service, because I've had them myself, um, a
And you would
minimum.
actually you would need, and I'm guessing yes, he says after reviewing medical records. So I'm guessing those stress fractures were diagnosed while active duty.
Yeah, then I would definitely be filing the claim for the stress fractures for sure. Because then you're going to go to the exam and they're going to see if there's any residuals, which typically you have residuals from a fracture. I mean,
Right.
usually there's, I have them. So it would
It,
benefit.
it all it all depends on where the fracture is.
Yeah, that's true. And a foot though, I mean, like you said, which metatarsal it's in, right?
Right.
So, all right,
More
next question.
likely it would be in the metatarsal.
Jordan Builds. Hi, I'm a veteran with 10% disability now. I got out in 2005. I'm in the process of submitting through a VSO. My nexus letters for an increase in claims for the secondary conditions that I have developed. Any advice or additional tips? Okay,
Well,
so
you need to know what those additional those additional disabilities you're filing for are. Can't give a tip on to somebody without knowing
right.
what we're advising on as far as
Yeah.
disability wise.
So I mean, currently you have 10% disability. We don't know what that's for. Understand you got out in '05. Understand you're trying to get back into the process of filing. Not sure what the nexus letters are for an increase. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming if you're 10%, you're trying to file an increase. But I just like to give you some information, Jordan. When you're already service connected, you no longer need the nexus.
Right.
So if that nexus is for that 10% that you're trying to file an increase, you don't need the nexus. You simply need to file the increase and show that that disability has gotten worse with updated medical evidence. So,
And you can look in the CFR underneath that
mhm,
disability and see what the levels of disability for your condition are. For example, if you got 10% for tinnitus, that's as high as you're going.
right.
If you got 10% for your low back pain or low back issues, you could go as high as, is it 40% stuff?
Yeah. Well, no, it could actually go up to 50, I believe. It's 10, 20, 40, 50, I think, but 40 is, oof, that's pretty high.
Yeah, 40 is pretty high. 40 means you not moving much.
Right. And as far as secondaries, again, we don't know. It's a little bit vague information. Again, if you want to add on into the chat, and we can pop it up and circle back, or you can send us an email with more information, and we can try and help you out there. Um, but other than there's not enough information here other than what we've already provided. Hey, Laura, we've been chatting. Thank you for all your help. You're welcome. I love to hear about presumptive PTSD based on combat awards. Is it best to get buddy letter and statement letter with a private diagnosis and presumptive? So, first of all, PTSD isn't presumptive. However, I know she and I, we've been talking, Blake. However, the veteran has what I think was what's the ribbon? Chris, maybe you can interject here. Is it a combat action ribbon?
Combat action ribbon is just, yes, you've been in a actual troops in
Combat.
scenario. Yes.
Right. That can give presumptive in some cases. So, based on the veterans' PTSD, first of all, yes, getting a current diagnosis is the best thing, right, to have for your disability, especially for PTSD. The second thing, having the current diagnosis and linking to the trauma that was incurred in service, going with the presumptive route if it was due to, and again, I'm going to do a little bit more research on this.
Your combat becomes your stressor.
Right. So
So it's
it's
not really
possible.
presumptive. It's
Right. So with anything that's presumptive, you always need a current diagnosis for anything. No matter what, if you're filing for a presumptive, you always need a current diagnosis to show that you have a current chronic disability that's presumptive to service. That makes sense, right? So when it comes to his particular situation, I think he has a little bit more of an edge because of that. And I'm going to look a little bit more into the M21-1, Laura, and I'm also going to need to talk to Jackie. So normally, if Jackie was here, she'd be stepping in right now answering this question. But I want to get a little bit more advice from her and get back to you on that. But again, having the current diagnosis is what you need, regardless if it's presumptive or not. Philly FD. I have an ACMP exam, ACMP phone call tomorrow afternoon for GERD. Any advice? Thank you for what you all do. So, an ACE is typically something that they do, which is a records review of your records, and typically the veteran's not needed, but it sounds like they do need to speak to you. So regarding GERD, again, a little bit of not a lot of information. I don't know. Is this your first initial claim? Is this an increase? Is this a denial and we're appealing? But for GERD, I guess medical side, Blake, things to do would be one, I would review the DBQ for sure for GERD.
right. And go over the medications that you're taking, schedule of those medications, the frequency, um, and you know, be sure to, when they ask you questions, to answer them honestly. About how it affects you. You can't lay flat at night if that's an issue. You're vomiting every morning or you're vomiting every night. Be sure that they're talking about that and that they know where in the record that is, and that has been recorded.
And just so everybody knows what ACE actually stands for, it's an acceptable clinical evidence process. Typically, an ACE review is done by an examiner to review medical records, but in some instances, and it sounds like this veteran's instance, they will call the veteran for maybe clarification. So I would just be on my toes for tomorrow, as into for clarification. It may be something very, very simple as to like medications, as Blake was saying, or some other questions. But I would review the DBQ for the GERD, and I
You know,
would be, huh?
one of the things is for an ACE, there are many conditions, and GERD is one of them, that an examiner cannot really diagnose, and there's nothing for them to really look at other than talk to you. It's not like a low back or a knee where they have to examine the range of motion and actually feel those joints to feel what's going on, because sometimes in a knee you can feel things like the popping and the crepitance that goes on when you move that knee. GERD is strictly, do you, you know, show in in the record where you've had either an EGD, an esophageal scope, or that you were diagnosed after discussing it with your physician and they put you on medications. You want to make sure all that's in your record, not that you just, hey, I have heartburn, I'm going to file for it, but I've never said anything to my doctor about it.
Right. And keep in mind too that GERD, as of right now, doesn't have its own rating. The digestive system is going to be changing here fairly soon. It's rated under hiatal hernia. So again, there's also pyramiding that goes on with GERD as well. So just confirming that you don't have IBS or anything like that, but GERD is rated under hiatal hernia, and it goes based on that severity. And just to mention, Laughing Guy, thank you. Yes, CAB, the Combat Action Badge. I was thinking of that one as well. I couldn't remember the other one.
Yeah, Laughing Guy also wanted to know what's the difference between the CFR and the M21.
So the Code of Federal Regulation is what Congress sets. So when I hear veterans saying they don't like a rating, go to your congressperson. They're the only ones that can get it changed into law. So the 38 CFR is the disabilities that are set by Congress. VA follows those guidelines. The M21 is what, like, the raters and the appeal folks, everything, they follow all of those guidelines. So it's very good to educate yourself. It's a great question. um, I would learn. How I learned is reading the 38 CFR of all the different disabilities and the ratings that were associated to them. Then I went on and read the M21-1, which is the manual that they follow, the guidelines. So like for
Graders
example,
follow.
yeah. So like for example, if it says this is what's happening, then you need to go here. Or if this is what happens, then you need to go here. So it's a manual that they follow, and there's rules and regulations through it that they follow. So that's a great question, and it's great to really dive into it and understand the 38 CFR and the M21. But again, I can't stress enough to veterans, when you're upset about a rating, or you're upset about like why it doesn't have a higher rating, Congress, that's who sets the 38 CFR, and it's very outdated.
All right. Jordan Bills put this back up about clarification
Okay. Okay.
of kind of what he's
Hi,
working with.
Jordan. Again, my initial 10% disability, okay, is for IBS. And the secondary conditions I developed since being diagnosed are migraines, acne, anxiety, and sleep apnea. Mm,
Mm,
no. So
no.
IBS doesn't cause acne that I'm aware of. Maybe the medication. You can definitely touch on this. IBS, and now I could see maybe the IBS causing the stress and anxiety. I could maybe see that. I don't
Yeah,
see.
that's a plausible one, while still somewhat of a stretch. Migraines are going to be a huge stretch,
Yeah,
and uh, the sleep apnea might, if you have reflux associated with it,
but then
you
that's
might
GERD.
have some sleep apnea. But that would
IBS
have
is the other way.
So that was his original question. He's in the process
Right.
of fitting.
So I'm curious if he's actually he says he's got Nexus. If somebody's
I'd
actually
like to
wrote
see the
Nexus
next.
letter, huh?
I'd like to see the nexuses for him.
Yeah. So as far as your IBS, Jordan, let me touch bases on that. So you're 10%, right? So right now IBS max is 30. So and I'm rated for IBS at 30. So an increase for IBS is plausible, absolutely. If you can prove the severity of your IBS has gotten worse, there is a possibility of an increase for your IBS. As far as the secondaries, those to IBS, those are
Right,
He says he has all the nexus letters for the conditions.
right
I'd like.
now, I'd like to see them and
Can
how
we
much
see
you
him?
paid for them.
So Blake, just so everybody know, Blake is a retired doctor, veteran himself. He's great on the team for looking at the medical side of things. So this is always good to have. Jordan, if you would send those Nexus letters for those conditions, redact your personal information, send them to that email so that I can get with Blake and Blake can give you a medical view of them. Because now I'm really curiosity kills the cat, right? I'd really like to see these.
Like I said, for the IBS, he could, if he has developed GERD, he could get those wrapped up into one as the current um, code is written, and then he could maybe use that as a stepping stone for obstructive apnea. Uh, but like I said, that's still a reach. But that's the only thing there that and the anxiety might be able to be tied to it if he's afraid that he's going to crap himself.
Right.
You know, when he goes to church. So those kind of things could cause anxiety, and he could get a rating for that. But that's
Then
going
you
to
need
be the big.
and then you need the mental health doctor to give the pretty much SSD, which is somatic symptom disorder, basically stating you're suffering with mental anguish over your disability, and that it's causing severe mental anguish over the chronic disability. So,
Right.
but we really like to help you, Jordan. So if you want to send those to us, please send them to us. We're happy to look at them.
Yeah, he said he said he'll send them over to look at.
Okay.
Just don't get mad at us if we come back and tell you that you paid a lot of money for something that's not going to work.
It's still good.
You never know. All right, so guys, we're 30 minutes in. We've got a lot of questions lined up. One thing we do want to mention is that if you like what's going on here, we do appreciate the donations. There's a little donation tab right next to the chat where you enter everything in. If you want to donate, that's great. Like I said, we give up our time here to come here and do this. It just goes
supports the
back into
channel.
all the, what's that?
It supports the channel and
Supports
all
the
the
channel, goes back in all the equipment, the software, all that kind of stuff. We also do, if you need more in depth, Stephanie will do a one-on-one consult with you. If you'd like that, again, email us. We can send you the information for that as well.
Blake will join.
Blake will get in there. Jackie will get in there. We'll get the whole team together if you need like a one-on-one. If you just feel like you need more help, so that's a
And
possibility.
believe me, none of us are sending our grandchildren to college with what's being donated. It's all going back. Stephanie and Chris have spent a fortune.
Don't get us wrong; it's appreciative, but yeah, we've
equipment and software.
Yeah, the equipment is
right.
software. So
But we do
anyway, we
appreciate
really appreciate it. Hopefully, you're getting some good information out of this. So let's keep going so we don't bore people.
How do we bore people? We're fun. All right, live life. I like that. That's a good one. We're just one look to find a doctor in their state to write a nexus letter relating to one's back and knees. Boy, it's nexus letter tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
that would be an orthopedic surgeon or someone treating you.
Yes.
Would be is your best bet.
Or Blake has a very good post in our Facebook group about the Nexus IMO. We also have a great video, and Chris gets time, he can put it in there. It's a 3-part series on Nexus and IMOs. You don't really need to pay for a nexus letter. What you need is your medical records to reflect the nexus within it. And by talking to your doctor and having a conversation with your doctor about, hey, doc, what do you think is causing X? Do you think Y is causing X? Do you think Z is causing X? And let the doctor explain what's causing your issues and simply note it in your medical records and then use that to support.
Let me add to that.
Yeah.
But you don't go in there and say, "Hey, I am trying to get a disability for this." Just ask them, "Do you think that X caused Y?" And if they say yes, then ask them, "What is your rationale behind that?" They'll give you a short 3 or 4 minute explanation as to why. And when they're done, say, "Could you please document that in my record that X caused Y, and this is why I think so?"
And
And that's as
I
simple
can't
as
tell
that.
you
Two
guys
or
how
three
many times
sentences.
it works, compared to so many veterans that are going out there and paying for these nexus letters and the money that veterans are paying for it and the
The
cut and
average is the
copies
average is about $1,500
and
a
the cut
letter.
and copies we're seeing that are just they're just terrible. And so Chris has dropped the part one in there, but back to your question about that, as Blake said, be sure to talk to your doctor about your issues. So regarding your question about finding a doctor, as Blake said, for your conditions, live life, you need to be seeing an orthopedic doctor, or even your doctor you're seeing now who's seeing you,
Right.
and try and go from there first, and go from, and like I said, if you watch the three-part series and you see everything we're talking about, it's it's really easier to do it with your doctor. I mean, I've done it myself. So
Let me tell you something as we talk about it frankly. If you ask your doctor and if X is related to Y and he says no without asking for a letter because he doesn't know that's coming, just ask him. If he says no, more than likely the answer is no, no matter what you think or feel. Because if you go to somebody to pay for a letter, they're going to say whatever you're paying them to say.
yeah,
Um, if they say no, if you ask for a letter and they say no, there's a couple of reasons why they may say no. They may
right,
say no because A, they don't believe it. B, they feel like they don't have the time to write a good Nexus letter. Takes 3 or 4 hours. That your insurance will not pay for it. Very few of those physicians are set up and have a fee schedule for doing such a letter. But when I did it, yes, I would do it, but it was done after hours. It took me 3 or 4 hours to write it and have the medical articles and the things to back it up that you need to go with it, the studies. And I had a price list. It was
well,
$350 for me to write a letter,
the
but it was
majority of these companies out there that are predatory companies have doctors working for them. They're all together, and you'd be shocked at some of these letters we see. Again, you can do what you want, but at the end of the day, if you just talk to your doctor, and I hear this all the time from veterans, my doctor won't write me a nexus. My doc, don't go in with the attitude of trying to ask for a nexus. Just go in with discussing what's wrong and what's causing and or aggravating what you have right now,
right.
and get the doctor to have a one-on-one conversation with you, and have them, because whatever you talk with your doctor, it should be going in your medical notes. So that should be in there, and then at
Yeah.
that point you can use medical records.
Think about your job. If someone came to you on your job and asked you to do some extra work for free, how quickly are you to say no?
Right,
That's what the doctor's doing.
right. So, anyways, I hope that helps. Oh, thanks, laughing guy. We just got a 25. He's been dying to use that. Can you hear that, Blake?
Yeah.
Thank you, laughing guy. We're laughing. Oh, Latina, thank you so much for the donation. We appreciate it. We do. We honest. Thank you guys. We do appreciate it. All right, next question.
Is it from Laura?
Hey, Chris, Live Life has got a part two, or can you put that back up? And then we'll go to Laura. So I had a BVA hearing. The judge left the case open for 60 days. Okay. Judge said for me to visit a doctor and have him or her write their medical opinion and submit it. I only have a VA doctor. The answer is no. Okay. So this is good. This is more information. Thank you. So basically, the judge has what they have done is you're missing the nexus, but the judge is affording the opportunity for you to have this remanded right now for 60 days and to go get a nexus. So that is interesting. And
In this case, I think it could be an orthopedic surgeon.
yeah,
I believe, and I would have to ask Jackie for sure. I believe they would probably take a physical therapist
yeah, I
where
think so too.
trying to connect your back to your knees.
But how do you get to
Um,
a doctor you're not with? Like other than
make an
paying a
appointment.
paper, huh?
You pick up, you make an appointment, you go in and see him about your knees and again, or your back. And then somewhere in that appointment, you ask, hey, do you think this could be from my knee? I have a bum left knee. Do you think that's causing my low back pain? And if he says yes, go, can you please write that in the record? And then you ask for a copy of the records.
So let me go back. Live life. What is it? The knees?
He's one's back and knees. Now, the question is, are you trying to get your back secondary to your knees or your knees secondary to your back?
Back and
Because
yeah.
those are different things, and one is more likely than the other.
You know, I know time is of the essence. Live life. Is there any way you could email me the original denial so I know what's at the board right now? And redact your personal information so we can find out um, how this where you are right now. I'm assuming a letter relating to one's back and knees. I'm assuming you're trying to get your back and knees, and I'm assuming the knees to the back, which is plausible, right, Blake?
Yeah.
But if we could see the denial and then get a little bit more understanding, I can try and get back to you tomorrow regarding this. I know you're on a crunch time. I've been to the judges, so I know time is of the essence. But that's what it honestly sounds like. Sounds like the nexus is missing, but the judge is affording the opportunity to get it.
So
So
you'll do yourself a greater service by spending a couple of $100 and going and seeing an orthopedic surgeon than spending the money on some company to write you a letter.
yeah. But if you want us to help you some more, we can. I'd be happy. I just want to get a little bit more understanding background of it. All right. Can we go back to Laura? Okay. Can you talk about trying to expedite the claim? Sure. So I'm going to give you a history here, Blake. Laura and I have been talking. The veteran that she's trying to help is an older gentleman. I believe he's in his 80s. He suffers with dementia, and he's currently in the hospital right now because of his mental health issues. He is a Vietnam veteran. He doesn't have any ratings currently. She's trying to help the wife, which I believe is the aunt. I believe this is her uncle, and she's trying to get things expedited. Now, I was looking today on expediting claims for certain people. You know, when there's like a terminal illness, hardship, financial things like that.
And I believe
Dementia,
elderly qualifies
correct. Elderly qualifies, and I believe the
over the age
terminally
of
ill, dementia.
over the
Can
age of 77, I think, or 75.
Can you look that up real quick for the age requirement?
For me,
Yeah. Can you look up just while we're
no,
sitting here?
I'm just thinking what that's
Okay.
somewhere in my brain.
Hold on. If veteran is over. Hold on, I'm doing some work here. Okay, so if you are 75 years or older, you qualify under the VA law for expedited service. So Laura, he qualifies. So that form that we were talking about earlier today, and I sent it to you in email, you need to use that form and you need to be able to notate his, obviously his age and all the issues that are going on. So yes, you can get it expedited because of the age. And I'm looking right there on the VA. I can send the information if you need it, Laura, in email, but the age does allow for expediting. Oh, thanks, Peter. He's such a great guy, great supporter. You support us all the time, man. We appreciate it, Peter.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's his second, third, fourth donation, but yeah, he's always donating. It's pretty awesome of him to keep doing
Yeah, we do. It's all he's been donating with since we started, since
it.
day
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So we really appreciate that, Peter. Thanks.
We do. We truly do. We appreciate everybody who donates, guys. We really do. All it does is goes back to support our channel. We do appreciate it. All right, so why Broncos? I was National Guard for 16 years. Can you please tell me if being on ADOS orders, active duty, I believe, orders would count for service connection? The orders were full-time National Guard duty operation support. Is ADOS active duty? Because reservist is different. If it was active duty orders, Title 10 or Title 32, then yes. What is ADOS? I love it when we use acronyms and I don't know what it is. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Active
I think they're
duty operation, sir. What is ADOS with national? See, I'm Googling.
operations support.
Active duty operational support.
Okay. Okay. So that means, okay, active duty operational support. Oh, hold on a second. Term used throughout this guide will include active duty, which includes, I believe that the answer is yes. So can I have the question again, please?
Yeah, sure. Let's see where were
I was National, okay, so I was National Guard 16 years. Can you please tell me if being on ADOS orders would count for service connection? So I believe the answer is yes, Y Broncos. If your injuries or illnesses occurred while you were on those orders, then all you need are those orders. If,
Well, you also need some sort of documentation that it happened.
well, not on active duty, you don't. If, if,
Well,
if, if he's on active duty orders and he has a current condition, and he can prove he was on those active duty
if
orders.
it's a presumptive, but let's say he broke his foot, he's got to prove that he broke
Well,
his
yeah,
foot.
yeah. You're right. Go to medical or whatever. Correct.
Right.
Yes. Correct. He doesn't need an LOD, which
No.
is a line of what is it?
Those are line of duty. Those are
Line of duty. Right.
those are for the weekend warriors.
Correct. Or the 2 weeks or whatever.
Right.
But yes, if you have an injury or illness and it occurred while you were on those active orders and you have a current diagnosis right now and you provide those orders, that should help you. I have a diagnosis and buddy statements. Okay. Then do you have the in-service injury to connect that diagnosis and buddy statements? Yes, no, maybe. So if you do, then like Blake was saying too, if you can show that it was an injury or an illness, because we're kind of vague here, we don't know exactly what it is, then you've got the current diagnosis, you've got the buddy statements. I never went to medical at the time. Oh. Okay. So if you never went to medical, how is the current diagnosis linking to when you were on those active duty orders?
Right.
That's going to be the first question. Now, the buddy statement could help, but again, that's a layman's statement. So depending on what this disability is you're trying to claim, there might be an issue here, because if you didn't go to medical on these orders, I was full-time military funeral honors and I'm trying to claim depression. Okay, so hold on. Now we're talking mental health.
Right.
So here's a couple things about this. With mental health, if it's due to PTSD, you don't actually need sometimes, the in service, because a lot of people who have PTSD, they don't report it or they don't talk about it. But you're saying depression is going to have to be typically diagnosed while you were in service. Does the current diagnosis state that this is due to your service because you were military funeral honors? So that might help.
You
That
definitely need a nexus in there for this from
if you've
your
got
from
the
your health provider.
if you've got the current diagnosis, okay, he says yes. If you've got the current diagnosis and your doctor is stating it's due to service, then yes, provide it. Provide the orders that shows you were active duty. Provide the buddy statement. Provide your own personal statement, and let the claim run through its process. God, I'm hot. These hot flashes are killing me.
Private summers.
Oh God. Sorry, guys. Oh.
Stephanie's having a power surge.
All right. So I hope that helps. Why Broncos? All right, Latina. Hi. And again, thank you for your donation. Much appreciated. I submitted a claim in October 2023. My exam and results were submitted in November. This week I received a call from VES for exams. Is that normal? My
Yes.
exam. Wait a minute. I submitted a claim and my exam and results were submitted. And then, so if you had an exam back in November, it sounds like you're having another exam because VES is a contracted facility for the VA. So if you already had an exam in November, it sounds like another exam has been ordered either for clarification, something's missing from the original exam. That's what I'm taking. So
Yeah.
the answer would be yes, that is absolutely normal. And depending on what it is, and it sounds like the Raiders doing their job if the exam was incomplete. She says I'm having two different Latina says I'm having two different exams. Okay, so I need to know then what was the exam for in November and what is the exam for now? She's saying right. More exams for the same disability? Okay. So if it's more exams for the same disability, then it's probably a clarification exam. So, I mean, that's good. I mean, at least it means the rater sees something that's missing and needs clarification. That's what it sounds like to me. Once a Marine, 95. If when filing mental health secondary to service connected knees and tinnitus, can I also file for secondaries to mental health in the same claim in anticipation of getting service connected? Yes, you can.
Yeah.
You can,
That's a simple one.
huh?
That's a simple one. The answer is
Yeah.
yes.
The answer is yes. You can file at the same time. Absolutely.
Now you will come back and this is a question that gets asked 5 times a week in the group. What does deferred mean? It may come back deferred until you get your when you may get your mental health rating first, and then it may come back that the others are deferred. That just means now they're going to go look at them as relationship to your mental health.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the primary's got to be rated before the secondary, but you can always file a primary and a secondary at the same time
Yes.
and let the VA process it all together. Absolutely. B. Foster. My claim for gastrointestinal problem was just denied. Decision said no diagnosis, but examiner noted no diagnosis because I only had subjective complaints of diarrhea and abdominal pain. Isn't
Okay.
gastrointestinal just a symptom?
Those, well, that's true. Anytime you file for something that says blah blah problem, blah blah pain, you need to go see a doctor. Do not count on a CNP examiner to make a diagnosis. Will they? Sometimes yes. Will they not? In your case, no, they did not. But you need to go see your doctor, get a diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome, and then go back, because what the diarrhea and abdominal pain you have are strictly symptoms. The VA does not rate symptoms very often. They
There's
mainly
part two right here, Blake. I have a VA doctor's appointment on Friday. I think I have IBS. So, do I simply ask my doctor to evaluate this for me to get a diagnosis and then submit that as a supplemental claim if he diagnoses me? Well,
yes.
yes, first get the
Now,
IBS diagnosis. But then,
now
what is the IBS due to? Is it due to service or is it due to secondary? What was the first part? What was the
just
first
says
part?
it just says he had a claim and it was denied.
Okay, but examiner no diet. Okay. Okay, so that's my next question is how are you trying to potentially file the IBS? Are you going to try and file the IBS primary or secondary to under the
IBS can also be presumptive if you were under the pact.
right Gulf
Now,
War and
I'm going to tell you this because this is what we hear all the time. I went to the VA doctor and they're just giving me the runaround, and they want to do a colonoscopy and they want to do this and they want to do that. Well, yes, because to get the diagnosis of irritable bowel syndrome, it is more or less a diagnosis of exclusion.
exclusion.
In other words, they have to look at everything that could be causing the abdominal pain and the diarrhea and
Yep.
rule those out as being your diagnosis before they give you a diagnosis of IBS.
Yes.
So no, they are not trying to give you the runaround. They are trying to take care of your health in the proper way and get you a diagnosis, because they don't really care about your rating. They care about your health.
So don't be surprised because I'm ready for IBS too. Don't be surprised if you're going to have to go through some procedures and or tests before you actually get a diagnosis because they've got to determine what you actually have. It could be IBS, it could be what was it? IBSC, IBSD,
Yeah,
it could be IBD,
yeah.
it could
Could be IBS mixed. It
right,
could it could be colon cancer.
it could be anything.
So
So
they need to rule all those things out. Could be Crohn's disease. Could be
yeah.
any number of things that they need to rule out.
So
It could be lactose intolerance.
you may not get your diagnosis quickly, but keep in mind you've got a year to under you have a year to appeal as well, and you have um, that's more than ample time to get your evidence for what you need. So just make sure you do due diligence. I understand you think it's IBS, but it may be something else. So and I honestly I hope you're seeing a GI doctor.
Right.
Um,
That's who you need to be asked to be referred to if you're seeing your VA primary care on what next week.
Right.
so Laura just gave us a $15 donation through one of our other avenues. So thank
Well,
you
thank
very
you,
much, Laura.
Laura. I appreciate that, Laura.
It's very much appreciated. We really thank you guys, and hopefully you guys are getting a lot out of this. Like you said, we kind of just give our own time for this. Stephanie's passionate about it. So is Blake,
Yep.
Jackie. So we
And
really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
no, we do. We appreciate it. And like I said, we're just veterans ourselves. We have a little bit of knowledge. We try to help the best we can. And, you know. All right. Next question. Shimp Howard had a CMP exam for anxiety. Doc submitted to the VA next day, still awaiting results. Is that indicative of a positive result that it was submitted so fast, or could they go either way? No, it's not. It could go either way.
That's indicative that your doctor is on the ball and getting his paperwork done
Yeah.
at
Just
the end
means
of the
that
day.
the CMP exam was completed. The doctor did what they needed to do, and they're submitting it back to the VA for review. But now keep in mind, too, that again, just like one of the previous questions, if the exam is inadequate or needs clarification, it's possible you may go back to another exam. It's possible that the rater will send it back to the examiner to answer some missing information. But no, it does. It can go either way, honestly.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the name Shemp Howard. That's all I'm going to say because I know who Shemp Howard is.
I don't.
One of the Three Stooges.
Oh, that's awesome. All right. Next question. Oh, we got another donation. Thank you, Once a Marine. We appreciate it. That's awesome. We really do appreciate everybody's support. TNF. I'm 90% vet with 40% for lumbar, and I was given 20% for radiculopathy in both legs. Is it worth putting in for the 100?
Well, he's got some other ones out there.
I
Question
also have
is,
30% for rhinitis. Well, sorry, my message didn't go through. My recent MRI shows more discs that are degenerate. Okay, so hold on. Here's a couple things going on here, TNF. First of all, we don't know if you're 90 rounded up or down. That's the first issue. Second issue, we need to see your disabilities, all of them, to know whether something might have a potential to be increased, potential maybe a secondary. Do you have bilateral factor going on because you've got some bilateral ratings going on? So my best answer to you, TNF, is send me an email with your disabilities and we can go from there. That way I can tell you, first of all, if you're rounded 90 up or 90 down, and I can review your disabilities and we can go from there. Chris, do we have the email? We pop that up? Thank you.
and
So
I will say this, going for the 100%, it's not necessarily going for 100%. You're
right,
always you're always looking to get, as we like to say, what you deserve and what's out there. Even if you put in and it raises you to 94%, it's worth having because at some point down the road
right,
something else may go bad. So while you have the documentation, yes, put in it. If you have not gotten worse, you're not going to get, if you have gotten worse, or if you are the same as you were when you were first diagnosed, you are
right.
not going to get reduction.
That's the other thing, TNF, is like how long you've been rated. So there's a lot of things that are going to play into factor this. So if you, like I said, email me, happy to talk to you, and we can go from there. Yes, please redact all your personal information. Charlie Chadbourne. Hey, so if I have claims ready with documentation and an nexus for tinnitus, anxiety, and headaches, do I submit them all at the same time? Yes. Why not? You should always file your claims all at once. It's better to do that.
Right.
Of course, Jackie and I disagree on that, but yes, if you have everything ready to go for these claims, submit it. Even if you don't, and then you have additional evidence, you can always add the evidence to your claim.
Right.
But yeah, if you have all the evidence, for sure. SJ. If I file an intent, will it delay open claims I have open now, or should I wait for my decision letter? No. So an ITF is an intent to file. You can only have one ITF in place. If you have existing claims, that is where you would want to put an ITF in right now. So that secures you for 1 year from when you put that ITF to file new claims. The open claims that are going on right now have no bearing with putting an ITF. So,
But if you put an ITF in for one condition and you file for it and on Monday, and on Wednesday you decide you have another condition you want to file for, that second condition will not be covered under that ITF. So if you have, that's one of the reasons why Stephanie says file everything you can at once,
right.
because you have an ITF out there. As soon as you file one claim, that goes away. If you wait 6 months and file another claim, you've lost that date.
And
Unless you
I always encourage, as soon as you file claims, put another ITF right in place, because that ITF can sit there. I just talked to a veteran today that had his VSO misguide him on a lot of this information about ITFs, and it is so important that The ITF that is in place, you must use it within a year. Don't wait a week before that ITF expires either. Wait
Right.
about, if you're going to wait, I wouldn't wait more than about a month. You want to get everything in under that ITF. And again, if you don't have everything ready to go and your ITF is getting ready to expire, file anyways. You can always add your evidence to it because your claim isn't going to be decided the next day. So,
And we see a lot of people who wait until exactly the 1 year anniversary to file their claim, and then they come back and go, "Well, my effective date was when I filed, and not the ITF. Why? Well, it didn't get put in the computer in time. So be sure to give yourself at least a week, if not more, leeway before your anniversary date."
exactly. Is that better? Sorry, my mic wasn't. Chris is telling me my mic wasn't good. Oh, thank you, Chris. We appreciate the donation. Hey, Chris, I don't know why my
It's
microphone. Can
fine.
y'all hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, all right. Just making sure. Chris.
Yeah,
Chris
we
is
could
telling
hear
me.
you, just echoey. You probably left it back, and I thought you need to pull it forward.
I did leave it back. How do I keep it from going down?
Hold on, I'll come in.
Super glue.
Just get the duct tape, fixes everything. Here,
Just, he's gonna come in and help me. All right. My VSO submitted an HLR back in December 23. No movement since then. I just learned about the informal conference and I don't know if my VSO added that option. Any tips? What can I do? So my VSO submitted the HLR. So if they submitted the HLR, that means they requested the informal conference. So if you are now going to have the informal conference, that means the VSO did add that option. And here's something that I stress, guys, with veterans. Whenever you have somebody else doing something for you regarding your claim, your appeals, get a copy of everything. Know your claim, know your appeal, know what somebody is submitting on your behalf. This is a prime example. Your HLR was submitted. Your VSO sounds like they did what you wanted, which is you're going to get the informal conference. So that's good. So you're going to have the opportunity to speak on your behalf regarding your appeal. Now, keep in mind, the HLR doesn't allow any new evidence. So you are arguing based that your argument is based on that the decision has an error. HLRs are only where you find DTA errors, which are duty to assist errors. So unless there is an error in the previous decision, the HLR will confirm that denial. If there is an error, then it will be brought up and the error will be noted as, for example, maybe you didn't get an exam or something else to that fact. It will turn into a supplemental. You're allowed to add evidence and it goes from an HLR to a supplemental. But it does sound like your VSO did request the HLR with the informal conference. So that's good. All right. Constar Briggs. I'm starting the BDD. That's the, by the way, if anybody doesn't know what that is, that's the benefits at delivery at discharge claims processed next month with a VSO. I have a civilian medical providers because we don't have a medical treatment facility nearby. How do I get my records added to my
Service treatment records.
Oh, I thought there was another part to this.
yeah, I think it got buried, but yeah, he's trying to get it added to his service records.
What's he trying to get added to his civilian records?
His private
Just
doctor, the civilian doctor.
hand carry them.
Yeah, hand carry them to medical.
Go to your civilian provider and ask them for the copy, either on a CD or a thumb drive, and you should be able to submit them through that.
Yeah. And that's good you're doing BDD. I'm proud of you.
Can you still take the paper copy to the VA?
You can, but I don't trust them to scan it all in, right?
Okay.
Most civilian providers, Nobody uses paper copies anymore.
All digital now.
Are we getting all the questions?
Yeah, we got a couple more here.
Okay. Dennis, hi. Which condition would you connect sleep apnea to? PTSD or insomnia? Well, first of all, insomnia is rated under mental health, just like PTSD is, and you can only have one mental health other than an eating disorder. So, and PTSD comes with sleep disturbances. As far as filing sleep apnea secondary to either or, you're going to need a strong nexus letter that shows that either your PTSD or insomnia, I don't know which one you're rated
And
for, has
this is
caused.
this is
Yeah.
something that I found out the other day because I recently went through a sleep study myself. And looking closely at the results, it says obstructive sleep apnea. There are two types of apnea. There is obstructive sleep apnea, which is a physical defect. And then there is central sleep apnea, which can be caused by, um, and it's funny that this doesn't come up in any of the nexuses we read. Central sleep apnea, which has a whole different set of test findings. So a lot of times we see people that say, "I'm filing for sleep apnea." Well, is it CSA or OSA? Because mental health and OSA is really hard to connect. Central sleep apnea is a lot easier to connect to. Um, it is a whole lot easier to collect to
Right.
connect health. So just keep connecting obstructive sleep apnea to mental health is kind of like trying to push a rope up a hill.
Right. And it's a tough one to connect. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. There are some veterans that get it, and there's some veterans that don't get it. And honestly, with the changes coming in quarter 4 of this year to include sleep apnea, this is probably going to be a moot point come the end of this year with sleep apnea, because they're going to be pretty much basically putting it at zero. Now, don't freak out if you're rated for sleep apnea right now, or you're in the process of a claim right now, you're grandfathered in. I'm just saying, going forward, they're trying to change the rule. Well, they're going to change it for that, along with some other issues, respiratory, and I think it's audiology as well. So just keep an eye. But again, I don't know if you're rated for PTSD or insomnia, because you can't be rated for both. I'm assuming you're probably most likely rated for PTSD, and within PTSD is sleep disturbances. So um, it's going to take a strong nexus letter to get that by a well qualified doctor.
So I have central sleep apnea, he said.
Oh, okay. He has CSA.
So there you go. That I would go the apnea route. I would go the PTSD route.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, that SJ's asking about the ITF. Can you drop the video? We have a video, SJ. That's the form right there. But we have a video on our YouTube channel on intent to file. You actually can do it right online on va.gov. It's just like an intent to file is just like if you were going to file a claim. You go to start the process of it by providing your personal information, and then you save it. That creates the ITF, and then you leave it there for a year, SJ.
We just
And
dropped it in the comments.
okay. And I think Contour, you answered Contour, right? About the VSO documents?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's a great video if you want to watch it, SJ. It's one I did on ITF. But nowadays you can do everything online straight from your va.gov account. All right, Lori. Hey, Lori again. Is it necessary to take med records for the related CMP exam to the appointment? Do you think the examiner really looks at your records prior to your appointment? Okay, so I've done this. I've taken evidence and records to my CMP exam. It's really a hit and miss with the doctor, the examiner. Some are like, great, give me the information. I'm not seeing that in front of me. Some are like, nope, I don't want to see it. Don't give it to me. Um, some things that, as a doctor, Blake, you might probably understand this. Some doctors don't want to see another doctor's medical opinion. So if you're taking another doctor's medical opinion to an examiner and you're saying, "Hey, here, look at this," sometimes they get a little bit standoffish. Would you?
Don't,
Would you?
don't tell them how to do their job.
Yeah, but taking medical records with you, Lori, absolutely, because a lot of times they cannot see. I can't tell you how many times
Right.
Chris and I went to our exams and they didn't have our stuff in front of them, and they were happy to see something, and they took it under advisement and actually kept it, and then it got submitted with the exam.
Now, don't take in 1,000 pages and say it's in there somewhere,
Right.
because they're not going to bother to look.
But yeah,
Take in
if
what
you're coming up for an exam and you have, like Blake said, like 1 or 2 pages, and you know this might be beneficial, they may or may not have it. Just bring it with you and say, hey, nonchalantly, I have some evidence. I have some medical records here. Do you think you need them? They may say sure, or they may say no. We've got everything we need. Now, keep in mind, Lori, make sure that that's uploaded to your claim so that it's evidence of record, regardless if the examiner will take it or not. All right, Michael. Hello, I had a knee surgery prior to my military career. I've been in 18 and a half years so far and had to have surgery two times since coming in. Would I be able to claim my knee at all? Yes. So what you have is what's called pre-existing injury. So you had surgery prior to your military career for your knee. You went in. Service has aggravated its natural progression. So if you can prove that the knee injury that you had before service, because I would assume you probably had a waiver to get in with a knee injury, and you've been in 18 and a half years and your knee has been aggravated from service, then yes, you would be looking at trying to get it service connected as service aggravating it. Is that correct term, Blake? Beyond
Yeah,
its natural
aggravation.
progression?
Yeah, that it expedited its natural uh, progression.
Yes. Yep. So absolutely. So just make sure you have all your medical records to support the the continued injuries, issues throughout your military career, for sure. What is the best way to file a claim for TDIU? Okay. So for some of our listeners, watchers, TDIU is total disability due to individual unemployability. So basically, David, couple things. Another great video I have out on my YouTube channel is on that particular subject as well. Chris, if you could put that in the comment section while I'm talking, that'd be great. To file for TDIU, typically you need 70% with at least one disability being 40% or more. You also need to have the service connected disability causing you from being gainfully employed. Okay. Just simply being out of work or not able to work is not what TDIU is for. TDIU is meant for a veteran that is struggling to maintain gainful employment because of their service connected disability or disabilities. If awarded, the VA will pay you at 100%, but you will retain your current either 70, 80, or 90. Now, there's a caveat to this. There is what's called extra scheduler when a veteran is not actually at that 70% threshold. There is some special circumstances where a veteran can file under extra scheduler. To file for it is like any other claim, David. You would go ahead and file the claim for TDIU. You would submit your form, which is the 8940, 21-8940. The 4192, you should try and send to your former employers. Regardless if they fill them out or send them back, you can still attempt to do it. The VA is still going to attempt to do it as well. That's the form that Chris has up there. That's the form you would fill out. The 4192 is the one you would send to your employer. You can also, at the same time filing TDIU, file for an increase or anything else that's going on. But keep in mind, when you file for TDIU, the VA is going to look at that disability. Now, not trying to scare you, but sometimes it backfires on veterans.
Look at
And
all
I, huh?
They're going to look at all your disabilities.
They
If you
are.
file for an increase, they're not going to look at, if you have 5 disabilities and you file for the increase of 1, they're not going to look at the other 4 unless they're secondary to that 1.
Yeah.
But if you file for TDIU, they're going to look at all 5 of your disabilities.
And since he noted he had a TKR, I remember talking to him earlier. He's I think his knee is highly rated too, and that's fine. That's what they're going to look at, David. They're gonna look at the disability that's preventing you from being gainfully employed. But like I was saying, not to scare you, but I have seen veterans where it's backfired and they have filed for TDIU, and not only do they not get TDIU, they've been proposed a reduction, but it's very rare. So,
Now,
but
I want to ask a question for my own benefit. If he files for TDIU secondary to a knee problem, is the VA going to come back and say, well, you can do a sedentary job?
well, that's
Just
more like
because,
SSDI.
right. But that's what I'm saying is, will the VA, because they're saying he's totally disabled, are they going to say, well, okay, well, you can't dig ditches, but you can answer phones?
Well, and a lot of times what the VA will do is they'll try, veterans go through the VRE program and they've been
Right.
determined they're not able to be employed. But again, his TKR may not be his only issue, right? Why he can't work. I
Right.
see it says TKR, but in the end, that's how you file for it, David. Um, After talking to you, I think you have a good chance of filing for it. I don't see why you shouldn't file for it. And then you let the VA determine if you qualify for it or not. All right. Michael, do I need a doctor to provide a letter to prove that? What is that for?
That was for the gentleman who just, he was on 18 and a half years.
Oh, no. Do I need a doctor to provide a letter? No, you need your medical records and service that has shown your knee has, over the 18 and a half years, you said, I believe he said over the 18 and a half years in service, he
That's what
had
I'm saying. It doesn't really say if it happened in service.
well, he said he had prior knee injury
Right.
before he entered the military.
No. It says since coming in, it said 2
It
times.
says, I had a knee surgery prior to my military career.
Right. And then he said 2 since.
Right.
Right.
Right. So the doctor is going to put something in his notes, right?
Well, if he's had 2
Right.
surgeries since then, shouldn't that be enough, Blake, as
But
medical?
that should be enough to show that there's aggravation there.
Right.
Yeah. You should be
I mean, they
pretty
should be in
solid.
there already, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right.
It should be in your medical records that you've had the surgeries to the issue. And keep in mind too, Michael, if that other knee's been compensated for that knee, you should be looking at a secondary for the other knee.
Secondary
Right?
and bilateral factors.
Yeah. Thanks, Laughing Guy, for the acronym break. We got a lot of acronyms tonight. Charlie, if time for this question, if a doctor agrees to enter the statement that it is highly likely military service caused his condition, does that hold more weight? Blake?
Yeah, I think
I
that would
agree.
help tremendously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is this one of those ones where it's more likely than not type scenarios, or
Yeah.
Less, right?
less likely?
At least as likely as not, more likely than not.
Right.
Right. Those are the key words.
All right, so you guys got to check Mary Hall. Okay, that's what I was just going to check.
Oh,
So,
we missed Mary's. Okay.
yeah, Miss Mary.
Miss Mary. Hi, Mary. So good to have you on.
All right.
Okay. I found out today from the VA they changed sarcoidosis. Is that how I say that, Blake?
Sarcoidosis to infectious disease. I thought it would be rated under respiratory. Sarcoid will be rated under either respiratory or under uh, rheumatology, but
Yeah.
because 90% of the patients have issues with lungs and joints and connective tissue, it's a connective tissue disorder. Um, I'm not sure. I mean, you are more likely to end up with a pneumonia or secondary to sarcoid than anything else. That's what killed Bernie Mac, or a COPD type situation. So that may be why they're bringing infectious disease in on board too,
It's
uh, just so that they know that you have it, because there are certain antibiotics that you want to kind of steer clear from because it can cause reactions with sarcoid.
pulmonary.
Um, but that would be that it should be pulmonary or
Hmm.
and or rheumatology.
It is rated. It looks like from what I'm looking at, it's rated under pulmonary, Blake, under 6846 with a 0, 30, 60, 100% um, rating.
Yeah,
They said it has something to do with my active infections.
yeah. They're looking at your they're looking at the cultures that they're growing out of your sputum, and that's what that they will work in concert together. It's not going to be they're going to turn your whole care for sarcoid over to infectious disease, but they're just making sure that they are covered. Sarcoid, like I said, has a about a 90% chance of lung lung infections.
Mm, okay. Someone says, A Nas says, hey, I have a question. What's your question?
Yeah,
So
said I
Mary
have
is
a real
saying mycobacterium
mycobacteria.
access.
Yep, they want to be able to make sure infectious disease has all the cultures and knows exactly what they're fighting.
Okay. So I guess that's good. They're trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
All right, well, we're kind of waiting on A Naz here to see if he or she post a question.
I, I swear to God, I want to say Disney.
D's Naz.
Oh my gosh. Well, while we're waiting, just just to recap everybody, in the beginning, we talked about the 22 a day. As most of you know Chris and I, we lost a dear friend, brother, veteran just a few days ago to suicide. This video I have out, it's on my YouTube channel. It is a very good, informative video giving information to you as a veteran in crisis can get help. There's a lot of help out there, and it's okay. It is okay not to be okay, and to reach out and get help. So please share this video because it's a wealth of information. It's good for any veterans that are struggling. If you're struggling and you need help, feel free to reach out to us as well. Um, but anyways, I think we got a couple more questions. But anyways, we just want
Uh,
to share that information.
so Mary just posted this as well.
I do have it.
right.
Is this reason for
Yeah,
change?
yeah. I mean, the main one of the main ways we fight um, sarcoid is and other rheumatologies is with steroids and some of the biologic um, that all lower your uh, immunity. They 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 weaken your immune response. Therefore, you get infections more frequently. So they haven't turned it over. More than likely, they haven't turned it over 100% to infectious disease. They are just bringing infectious disease on as part of the team.
All right, we got ANAS.
Hey, Chris, I just sent you a link. Some lady's asking about it in our chat.
Yep,
Sharon Brady, she's asking where I can find out more about those changes I was talking about, the sleep apnea.
yep.
This is something. So Sharon, this is something that's been going on since February of 2022, and then April of 2022. Everybody had the opportunity to rebut. Well, now it's coming to fruition. Basically, Q4. These changes are going to go into effect. It's not solidified yet, but that is the rumor for Q4 of 2024 for these changes. Okay.
Can P&T be reduced?
Okay. So, yes, it's possible. Would it? No. So, literally going to be doing a video on this one about PNT and static. So when you are permanent in total, it's because you're 100% permanent in total, which means all your disabilities are static, which means you need no future exams. The VA doesn't see you getting any better. Your ratings are only protected under the protected rule ratings of 5, 10, and 20 years. There's an additional one of the 55-year rule, but that is only if you are 55 years and older and you don't open up any new claims, you won't have any future exams. So the short answer is yes, but does it happen? Now, if you go opening up, if you're 100% P&T and you go filing claims, which we see veterans do, because I have seen veterans wanting like SMCs and they think they're qualifying for them, which typically SMCs are inferred, so you shouldn't be filing for an SMC. It comes back to bite them. So the short answer is yes, but does it happen? No, typically not. But I will be doing a video on PNT and static, so stay
And
tuned.
there is one other way that it can be reduced, and that is
Fraud.
you lie.
Fraud.
You lied about your condition, fraud, and they discover it.
Yep.
And if that happens, you can be asked to pay back everything they've paid you.
Yeah. But our ratings, and let me just touch one more thing, and maybe Chris can throw in the rating code sheet. The rating code sheet is a Bible, ANAS, and to everybody listening, get your rating code sheet because that is contained in your C file, your claim file. It will tell you your rating, the code, when you were rated for it, the month and year, the percentage, and keep in mind, if you're 30% for mental health in 2013 and you file for an increase right now and you get an increase, the clock starts over for that new increase. The 30 is still at 2013, but let's say you get 70, the clock starts over. All right, I'll get off my soapbox because we could go on and on.
Okay, Stacy was asking, can I connect GERD to my PTSD? She's diagnosed for both.
Okay.
All right, and then she states that due to all the meds, I have GERD, which is caused by the meds.
Okay. I mean, it's plausible. I mean, if
There's
it's
your
medication,
connection
yeah.
right there. And like we said earlier,
Yep.
talk to your doctor and say, do you think my GERD is caused by my PTSD meds? And if they say yes, say, what's your rationale? Which meds are doing it?
Yep.
Please document that.
I know for sure my PTSD meds, they cause that too, but it's absolutely plausible if you can get the medical causation from your doctor for sure. And hi USMC Big B, he's got the grandbabies. All right, what else we got? Any more, Chris? Do we
Yep,
have
Chad Stool.
Devil
Chad
Dog?
Stool.
Oh wait, we got Chad. I have OSA and want to connect it secondary to my binge eating disorder, PTSD. Do you think that is possible? Well, I know that weight gain is an intermediate step. The PTSD,
It's going to need a well written nexus.
yeah.
Is it possible? Yes. It's gonna take somebody who knows you and knows your history, and this is one that you want to sit and talk to both your psychiatrist and probably to your primary care or your sleep doctor about, and see if they will note in your chart that there can be connected, rather than going to some place and trying to get a paid nexus for it, because
Yes.
it's gonna be a lot of cut and paste.
I think we got one. Do we have one from Devil Dog, Chris?
No, looks like it just says, let's see.
With the
Yep,
expanded
sorry.
health care?
Yeah. Get down here.
Oh my gosh, it's 9:30.
No, it's not. It's
Hi.
8:30.
Hi, with the expanded health care they offer, are OTH vets allowed to get VA health care if they served in burn pit area? Other than honorable? Yes.
Right.
Yes. They get health care. Absolutely. Oh, someone's asking for our email. Oh, you got it, honey. Okay. All right. Okay. I think we're done.
And Daniel's just giving us an update.
Oh, I was just thinking about you and Pam too, Daniel. Still waiting on my decision on my unemployability. The CMP looked very positive. Fingers crossed. I hope to hear from you soon too. I literally was just thinking about him.
All right, we were an hour 35 minutes.
Okay.
That was we had a lot of good questions. We had a lot of donations. We got a lot of thumbs up. Someone gave us a thumbs down.
Somebody give us a thumbs down.
Someone gave us a thumbs down.
Boo.
We didn't give them the answer they wanted to hear.
That's probably.
Boo. But I think we're gonna, guys, we're scheduled to do another one in 2 weeks. I think that's the plan for the group, March 20th. So stay tuned. We'll try and do one on March 20th as well.
So if there's no other questions, guys, we're going to sign off for the night. Everyone have a great evening. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all the donations, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks.
Bye, guys. Have a good night.